Hey everybody, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth. As always, with some ideas and insights for what to pay attention to when you are getting ready to grow and scale your business. It's a super crucial time to get all the details right. So one of the things that we want to make sure that we get right is that we're hiring the right people. So, hiring's been tough for a while and the hiring environment has really changed. So we all wonder why hiring is still tough and what to do about it. Here's a good news, bad news situation. Because more people are available than have been in a long time. So in the last few months, more jobs were added, and the average hourly rates are slightly down, and there's also softening quit rates, which all sounds like really good news for small business owners. But where it's still tough is that quality is still an issue. So that's what we see a lot of our clients struggling with, because the truth is the great people are gone and probably the good people are gone too. They've gone through several iterations of career and jobs in the last few years, and by now most of them will have found the right fit for them. So now the people who are left are kind of the people that have gone through a lot of churn already, and for whatever reason. So you want to make sure that when you're interviewing and when you're hiring, you're appealing to those few that for whatever reason, to no fault of their own, have had to make a change, or where something wasn't going right and they weren't happy about it and they're looking for a better fit. So you want to make sure that you are the right fit for those people, so that you have the right people on your bus, which is the most important thing for getting your company ready to scale and starting to grow. So when you think about what many of you are trying to do, is you're hiring for experience, you're hiring up, you're trying to find the people who can just come in, hit the ground running, and make a huge difference for you and your company, so that you can keep pushing at that level, which, right now you may not be there yet because you don't have those experts on the team. So when you can't hire the best, well, your next step would be hiring for team fit, hiring for culture fit, and then training. So one way to do it is bringing in the experts that will help you bring up the company immediately. But if you can't do that, the next best fit is to find those people who are great to work with, who are hungry, who want to learn, who want to develop, who can't wait to get started, but they may not have the experience level that you are looking for. So right now, the workforce is dominated by Gen Z. And the great news is that this is a generation that brings a unique perspective and purpose to the table, because they're different. They want to contribute. They want self-improvement. They want to build their skills, so they're hungry and ready to go. And they're willing to give more than previous generations, but they're also expecting more. They want more. They have different expectations than what you may be used to. So the difficult part about that is, and there it's a good news, bad news situation, because the good news is they are bringing a unique perspective to the table and they're hungry and they want to do more. And the bad news is that they want more. They have more expectations, like I just said. So that means if you've been around for a while, your old school principles of being a boss probably won't work anymore. But the good news in that is that what you will have to do to change who you are and how you're leading and how you're approaching having a team will also take your existing team and enable them to show up at a level that they have previously not been able to. So change is necessary no matter what, because I promise you this won't go away. As I've said in previous episodes, COVID really changed the way people work, the way people want to go to work, the way that people expect to work, and that is not going to change. So the only way we can win in this environment is when we're making sure that we have all the T's crossed and I's dotted, and make sure that we are ready to embrace those new principles, because like I just said, it will probably take the team that you already have and make them even better. So this is kind of that moment when you have to have a bit of a come to Jesus with yourself and go, look, am I ready for that? Do I want this? Well, the answer has to be yes, because this will make or break your organization. So at this point, what Gen Z expects, and let's just say it's a good practice all across the board, is they are not going to put up with a company that doesn't have a clear vision, that cannot tell them how they fit into the plan in the long run, that can't tell them where the company is going and how they can contribute and what the goals and expectations are. The clarity aspect is massively important. So they will not put up with that. They will also not be the ones who stay around for the old school principle of delegation, which basically means you're telling people what to do. Look, most people don't like being told what to do. So the only thing that you can do to change that is a much more collaborative approach that still gives them the clarity and the direction that they're looking for. But at the same time, they're also part of the planning. They're part of the plan. They're part of the execution, which in our experience brings a whole lot more accountability to the table anyway. So these kind of non-leadership principles where it's just like you're being told what to do and do it, and that's the expectation, they just won't stand for that. And when you think about where your current people are right now, are they thriving off that on that principle? You may think they are, but what would be possible if you changed that? So again, these individuals are worth it, and they are most of your labor market. They're most of your talent pool. So these individuals bring a unique set of skills and perspectives to the table that can be super, super, super valuable for growth and for staying competitive. So when you think about that aspect, that's really good news. However, when you're not used to that, leading the Gen Z generation can be really challenging when you're not familiar with this mindset and with this work style. So I really want to encourage you to stay open-minded about this and really see what you can take away from this that can really help you, not just bring in the new valuable people that you really need to hire, but also to help your existing people level up. And again, these are principles and practices you need anyway for your existing team to thrive, Gen Z or not. So the first very simple principle you'd think is communicate clearly and frequently. This generation needs really good communication. Think about it, everybody really does. And it's something that goes by the wayside in many organizations because it's just something that a lot of people think of and nice to have or something extra to do, when in reality is one of the most important aspects of leadership is having clarity and having clear communication around this. So that means setting that vision, like I talked about earlier, setting really clear goals and expectations, having an excellent operational plan that drives those goals and expectations and clarity. And then the other thing is they want to know how they're doing. So not having well-prepared and structured team meetings is pretty much unacceptable. And then the other part is your one-on-ones are where everybody gets the feedback and the insights that they need, where you can unblock them, you can help them be better, where you can help them understand how they can contribute to the company at a higher level. Those have to happen. So they are expecting that they're going to get regular feedback, that they're going to have regular check-ins, that there's going to be resources for them and coaching. They're expecting that you are ready to hire them. They're ready to contribute, but they're also ready to grow, and they want to make sure that you are here for them to help them succeed. So very, very important. You have to be ready to hire and help people succeed. So number one, that might seem really easy and clear, but something that a lot of companies currently don't practice. It's shocking when I hear how many of our clients report that they're hiring people who are saying, hey, you know what, I've worked for X companies that have never communicated their vision and expectation, and this is so new to me, this is awesome, this is amazing, I've never experienced that before. There's a statistic that says something like 73% of employees have no idea what the company's vision and goals are, and only 6% have a clear idea. So some people are in the middle there, but that's a pretty sad statistic right there. So communicate clearly and frequently. The second thing is embrace technology. Well, which is super important anyway, because when you think about it, there's only 3 levers that you can really push on when you're going for scaling. One of them is lead flow, making sure that you have the leads that you need to grow. Second one is LTV, lifetime value of clients, so that you make sure that you have good systems and practices in place so you can serve the people you already have, the people who are already on your client list, that you can have them keep coming, that they can keep coming back, that you can upsell, cross-sell, and have them be more and more valuable. And then the third thing is, of course, efficiencies. So embracing technology is a big piece, because that means we're looking at all those things that are mundane and manual, and we're turning them into something that can be automated, that can be done with technology. So it's much, much easier, and nobody has to do that super boring and grinding stuff. So they're expecting that there's a setup to be efficient and collaborative, that so that everybody works well together, and that there's a minimum of effort where there doesn't need to be effort. So you have to have the right tools in place. And the third thing is leaning on the side of flexibility. And this is a super tough one for a lot of our clients who are so used to even if they're not brick and mortar, but they are used to having a team that is in one place. And what today's generations expect is definitely having much more work-life balance than many of us are used to. Especially as an entrepreneur, your MO may be we are working 70, 80, 90 hours a week, and that's just how it is. While the new generations won't stand for that, because they expect to have other things in life than just work. So aim for a culture where work-life balance is not just a term, it's actually something you practice and that you have clear agreements around. And that doesn't necessarily mean, people come in at 10 and leave at 4. That's not what I'm talking about. But a huge piece is to set really clear expectations, what the norm looks like, and then that there may be growth spurts and phases where that's different. And as long as you set the right expectations, most people can handle what the expectations are. What they can't handle is some sort of unspoken, what you think is an agreement, but it's really how you set things up, and you've never really looked at, is that actually working? So having decent work-life balance, having flexibility in schedule. So for a lot of people who work remotely, that's much easier. When you're working from home, you can make sure people can make sure that they're getting their work done as long as it is within the parameter of the business they're working with. So flexible schedule. Before you roll your eyes, think about what is absolutely necessary in your business and what may not be. And it's just the way it is because you've always done it away, but actually there's no good reason for it. We always want to look at, when we have a great team, it means we're paying for performance, not for hours spent. So there's that piece where you have to look at, what are the hours where you really need coverage, and that needs to be part of your agreement. Hey, we really need coverage between 10 and 4, so everybody needs to be available at that point. But there could be some flexibility in how you stagger people. There could be all sorts of ways to make that a lot more approachable. You just have to be willing to think about it and do it. And, the work from home aspect in general, a lot of our clients were very, very scared and worried about how to make sure that if people aren't in the office, how do we make sure they're actually working? Well, again, we're not really paying for hours spent, we're paying for performance. We're paying for results. So when people have a very clear plan and very clear goals and expectations, there shouldn't really be an issue because they know exactly what they're responsible for, whether they work from home or from the beach or from anywhere else. So it's going to be on you to set really clear goals and expectations and make sure that they know what the outcomes are that they're responsible for, and then we don't really have to be concerned about that. So that's a big one. Choosing hours, right? I mean, does everybody really have to work the same frame of hours, or can we move that around? Can we make sure that, some people might work better in the morning, some people might work better in the evening. So what can we make possible so that people have more possibilities in there? Another thing that is an interesting thing to think about is paid time off, PTO. So in the old frame, we're used to everybody gets a certain amount of days. You get like 10, 14, 20 days if you're lucky in a year, and that's all you're going to get. Well, there's tons of statistics that actually say when you have unlimited vacations, so people can take the time they need, TN or something like that, take the time you need. When they have that they actually take less time off and they're more accountable for coverage than people who are getting a limited amount of days. And psychologically, that has a lot to do with scarcity that's being created. So when you're giving your team basically the freedom to take off whatever time they need to take off, that doesn't mean that they can blow off their responsibilities. That doesn't mean they don't have to be concerned about who covers for them and how things get done while they're gone. But it basically puts the responsibility on them versus on you. So it's a big shift. And when people are set up properly, when the right expectations are set, and when there's systems that go around all that, we've found that to be a much more effective way of handling PTO than the old way of limiting things. And it's a huge perk. It's a huge benefit that people are very excited about, because that means they can plan their life more flexibly, and that means life is not just about work. So very important to think about that. And for a lot of people, when you think about the work from home versus office, a hybrid is actually what most people thrive on best, because actually a lot of people like a team environment. They like being at an office some amount of the time. But when you're thinking about how many days do you really need people on site? For some of you, there's, you can't, if you have a retail business or whatever it is, where you are relying on people to be there certain hours, you can't do much about that. But for many, many, many businesses, the only reason they have people coming into the office is because it's always been like that. But when you can offer a hybrid environment where people have a certain amount of days where they can work from home, a certain amount of days that they're expected in the office, that works really well for most of the population. So think about how this is something that you could make possible in your business, because you will have a lot more people to choose from who will be excited to work for you or with you, because you've actually thought about this and you have implemented these policies. So now we have communicate clearly, embrace tech, have flexibility. Another one is people want to see that there's growth possible and that there's a plan, because they want to see that there's a plan, how they're going to advance. They want the advancement, they want the development, they want to be mentored because they want to build their skill set. That means you have to do more training, you have to offer more opportunities, you have to think more about how you can shift responsibilities, so people realize that there's a roadmap for how they're going to advance their career. And think about it. Yes, this is going to require some more effort from you. And how awesome is that? You can keep helping people to get more valuable. That's a win-win situation. They're getting more valuable in their careers, and you're getting a team of people who's constantly up-leveling their skill and their mindset. So having a growth plan is something that we absolutely teach in our system and have been for a long time. And I think it's awesome that it's something that people are much more conscious around these days. So I highly recommend that it's something that you pay attention to. And the final thing that I think is one of the most important things is to have a positive and inclusive culture. Because, you know, culture is such a buzzword, but you may have heard me say this before. To me, this means how people behave when nobody's watching. They're going to do the right thing, not because you told them to, but because it's the right thing to do, and this is who they are. And they want to know that they are supported and backed up by a positive and inclusive culture where they feel valued, where they feel respected, where there's social and environmental values in place, and where everybody is welcome and everybody is supported in who they are and what they're doing, as long as they're working for the benefit of the company. So these are some really basic things really that you should be doing anyway. And I highly encourage you to start implementing this stuff because, like I said earlier, it will give your existing team a leg up, and it will certainly broaden your pool of available talent because people will actually look at what you have to offer and they'll get excited about the way that you're looking at this, and they'll want to work with you. So I hope this helps. We have a brand new training out there that covers all this in detail. So if you want to see more, go to bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, and check out the training. And I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.